Well, I was just going through some bits and bobs and whatever, and I thought to myself, while I wait for the opportunity to be able to go out mobile and show you lots some radios, some antennas, and just talk about some stuff for beginning in CB radio, there's no reason why I can't do other stuff. So let's have a chat about radio etiquette, as some people like to call it. You know, how do you behave, or how do you talk? You know, are there certain rules? Things like that when you're speaking on a radio. Yeah, let's go and have a little chat about that. And you'll find it interesting because, well, I think I had a little bit of a well, I still have, got a little bit of a reputation for just being me. And I'll tell you some stories. How's it going? I thought we could just pitch up here next to this boat that I'm yet to get going. I need to get a battery for it. Anyway, so it is a question that people often ask, and they've been asking me, and I've just put it on my list of things to talk about in this beginner series. You know, the beginnings of CB radio. You know, when you're a beginner, what things do you need to know, and how can I help you, and how can anybody help you? So, in case you don't know, when this place flooded, I boxed up a lot of my radios and I put them in storage somewhere else. So I'm working to getting all them out again, and the plan is to be able to go out, well, I will be going out and going mobile, showing you, if you want to know, if you want to put a rig in your car, things you need to know. If you're beginning in CB, perhaps you're an off-roader and you want to know more about it, I'm going to cover everything you need to know. And by the end of the series, or hopefully before the end, you know, midway along, you'll be zipping along and you'll have a good rig set up, you know. But one of the questions that I've been asked is there a certain etiquette? Is there a way that you should be talking when you're speaking on a radio, you know? Hello, what's up, Jim? You know, do you just sort of go, hello? Who's there? Or do you have to sort of, hello, my name is Orinoco and I'm here to talk to you. Is anybody there? Is there certain things you need to be saying? Well, the short answer, for CB at least, is no, absolutely not. Just be bloody you, for goodness sake. I like to think, and I've always gone by this, there's certain manners that you should have in life, yeah? When it comes to speaking to people and just being in general living, those apply to being on the radio. That's it. There's, you know, a lot of controversy about the 19, the channel 19. That is the call-in channel. Well, it used to be the mobile call-in channel, and 14 was the home base call-in channel. But nowadays, you do still get some people call on the 14, but mostly people gravitate around the 19, the channel 19. We're on about UK CB here. Don't know what it's like for you lot in America and other places. I know you still have a 19, but I don't know how it kind of is these days. I'm assuming it's probably the same sort of problem that we have here, where you're supposed to go, 19 is supposed to be the call-in channel. So, for example, you would fire up your radio. This is the only one that I have to hand, by the way, a handheld. Or, as I say, all the other ones are all boxed up. They will come out, but this is my demonstration rig for now. It's a Thunderpole TX, a fantastic radio, I must add. So you would fire up your rig, you would go to the 19, channel 19, and you would go, you know, hello, anyone about? Who's on the 19? Something about those lines. There is no real, you don't call CQ on CB. That's something you do on ham. Of course, some people do bring that over to CB when they're on the side bands and other things like that, because they want to make themselves sound posh and as if they know what they're talking about. But really, on the CB bands, even if you're on controversial bands like the 555 and all those other ones in between, the mids and all of those, you just be you. You don't need to follow any sort of thing. I'm getting to some things that you lot are probably getting ready to type and you're probably shouting at the screen. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So you would, back in the day, when people had a bit of etiquette, go on the 19, call out for your mate or whoever. Hello, hello, who's around? Are you on here, John? Johnny boy? You on here, mate? Manuel, you on here? And you'd wait for them to come back. When they come back, you then pick a channel. You know, it could be any channel from 1 to 30. You know, you pick one. That's just, I mean, we used to favour the 2.5. The 25 is what we used to do. When I first started on CB, we would favour the 25. And that would be our channel, the 25. So, you know, go on, you go, all right, John, you know, we're on the 2.5 now. How's it going, John? That sort of thing. And then you carry on and have your chat. Nowadays, though, unfortunately, I pressed a funny button here. What have I got that one for? Yeah. Nowadays, unfortunately, what happens is everyone gravitates around the 19. And you get loads of people just having a chat on the 19. And people who come on to call for their friends or whatever, they can't because there's big conversations, sometimes 2, 3 separate conversations going on the 19, which is a bit of a problem. I have been guilty of that. Still am probably guilty of that because I know people that hang around on the 19 and won't move off the 19. And if I want to talk to them, I've got to speak on the 19, so I speak on the 19. But I'm just explaining to you how, you know, how it works. One thing that really, not a lot annoys me, I'm a fairly easygoing fella. I kind of just go with the flow, accept people for who they are, accept things for what they are, and just live life happy-go-lucky, I like to think. Don't really have many stipulations in life. But one thing that does annoy me personally, because mainly I do have children, is when people go on the 19, swearing like crazy, you know. I don't care about swearing when it's just me. It's not particularly attractive, and it is a bit like, sometimes I think to myself, oh, I've had enough of that. I'll turn it off and go and do something else. But when it's just me, whatever. But the thing is, you've got to think, some people don't have their radios in a private place. Some people, like I did to start with, have them in their homes. Perhaps they have them in the corner of their living room, so the missus can be watching the TV and you can be sitting there in the same room in the vicinity of your family, enjoying your hobby. You might have a set of earphones on, which ain't so bad if there's people swearing on the radio, but sitting there. Now, if you've got someone come up, this, that, and, you know, F this and blah, blah, and all this stuff, it's not particularly nice for the rest of the family. Those sorts of people don't think about other people. So I don't think that really swearing should be on the radio, in my opinion. I just think it's unthoughtful of others. But that being said, I can't really see the harm if you're not on the 19. Say, for example, you found Manuel and now you've gone over to channel 25, 26, 2, 1, whatever. Your channel, no one else is on there. As far as you know, there could be anybody listening, but nobody, it's their, if they want to listen to it, that's their, you know, their decision. That's it, isn't it? You're having a chat. If you can swear as much as you want, it's CB, Citizens Band Radio. It's free speech on that channel. And if anybody flicks past it and thinks, I'll listen to this conversation, and they hear all the swearing and I don't like it, they can just go away. They can flick to a different channel. Now, you're probably saying, why is that different to the 19? Well, the 19, as I said, is the calling channel. So you might be sitting there listening for your mate, Charlie, and you've got some couple of knobs on there swearing, effing and blinding on that calling channel, and all you're trying to do is listen for your mate Charlie. Charlie, you want to hear Charlie? And then you got blah, 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 Charlie, blah, 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 blah. Not nice. Anyway, let's get away from that. Other than that, general manners, there's not really any way you should be speaking when you're on a CB. Just your general please and thank you. Hello, how are you? It's quite common that when you find someone to talk to, not met them before, you know, you just ask general questions. What's your personal? If you want to ask that, what's your first personal? What's your first name? QTH. Again, CB is not really a place for all these acronyms and little things, but you can. QTH, whereabouts do you live? Just give a general location. It's not asking for your full address, just your general location, you know. What's your QTH? You could say whatever you want, you know. You could say Essex, you could say Scotland, you could say wherever you live, you know, random. 10.4, okay. 10.5, repeat the message. If you're talking to somebody or whatever, just 10.5 it. Just pass it on, repeat it. 73s, see you later sort of thing, you know. There's others, but for beginners, I'll just keep it at that. The basic ones you hear them and you'll know what they're talking about. If someone says, oh, if you say, right, it was nice, I was having a night. When you speak to someone for the first time, blah, 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 you've had a bit of a conversation. It's always polite to leave gaps between. So if the other person's speaking, they stop, leave a little gap. There might be somebody else wanting to join in on the conversation. And if you're keying up straight away, they can't do that, can they? Leave a little gap. No one there, blah, 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 blah. You talk. And at the end of it, if you're speaking to this person and you say, right, I've got to go now. See you later. And then they say, right, 73s, nice having a chat. 73s means see you later, bye. You know, that sort of thing. 73s, see you later. Some people say 73, 73, blah, 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 something. What else can I think of that might help you if you haven't got a clue? Like me, I ain't got a clue. That's about it for that. You know, you start getting into ham radio and, you know, you're getting into CB, you might get yourself like a 6900 or something, or 9900 or any other radio where you can listen to 10 meters. You'll hear a couple of hams on there, a few hams. You will hear some. Now, that's a different world. Right? I'm not necessarily going to touch too much into that in this CB series. When I start going over to ham, then we'll touch on that. Because I'm going to do the series on CB. I don't think I'm going to run them parallel because it's a lot for me to do. To be fair. It's a hell of a lot for me to do. Oh, here comes a little minion. Minion coming for a chat. Thought I'd leave that as an opportunity to move locations. Where was I? Yeah, so the ham side of things, you know, you'll find that people are a lot more snobby, they tend to speak a lot more posh. You do get some, like me, that just still themselves. Even when I'm on the ham bands, talking to other hams, I don't care. I don't ever swear. I never do anyway on the radio. But I'm just me, yeah. I don't do all this, oh, hello, yes, what's going on over there then? You know, don't do none of that. Literally just be me. And I suppose it's a bit like a telephone voice. Everyone has their own little voice on the telephone. You either go all snobby and, yes, speak through your nose, or you're just you. So, but you'll find all that stuff out. If you get yourself a 6900 and 9900, any other radio where you can listen to 10, you can't transmit until you get a license, mind you. But you can listen as much as you want. And you'll find that, you know. And there'll be a lot of old timers, or maybe there are some posh people which are just coming into it as well. They might have a full license. They'll look down at people like that. But you just get that in general life, you know. Most of them ain't like that, you know. I know loads of hams. I know loads of G's. I know loads of, you know, M's. All different license categories. They're all extremely nice people. But you do get some, because they're born in the 1900s. You know what I mean? They're proper, speak properly or don't speak at all sort of thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, enough of that. We'll get onto that when we go to ham. Now, when it comes to being out and about, so we're going to focus this series mainly because I haven't got home-based capabilities at the moment, but we're going to focus it for a little while, and then when it goes off, we'll when I can, I'll go back to home base and we'll do a bit of that. But when you're out and about, mobile, you might have you got your antenna on your car, you're driving around, and you're going, hello, anyone on this channel? Anyone on the 19? You know, no one about. Don't get frustrated and annoyed. A lot of people, they seem to think that as soon as they key up, hello, who's around? Anyone about? That their signal is literally just going all around the bloody country, and anyone that's on the radio is going to come back to you. Well, that's far from the truth. You know, you hear of people all the time. They get a radio, they put, hello, and blah, 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 and then they start complaining, oh, no one's on it anymore, it's dead, no one's about. Well, no. I mean, it could be that in your area where your signal was getting to, depending on how well your rig is set up, how well your antenna's set up, how well your radio is set up. We'll get onto that when I start telling you how to do a mobile antenna on a car. You'll see one small thing can make a huge difference. Where your signal's going and where you're receiving, there might not be any people on the radio. They might be literally having dinner. They could be having breakfast. They could be in the bathroom. You know what I mean? It just doesn't mean that it's dead. That point where you've called out, it might be going to radios, but no one's there listening to them. Or they could all be off and at work. I don't know. So don't be getting frustrated just because you don't hear anybody the one time that you call out. I guarantee if you're mobile, driving around, you will hear people if you keep it on. Keep it on the 19. You will also get to learn that if you go to different counties and different areas, there will be channels where people tend to frequent. So, for example, where I live, it was the 2.5. That then moved after some things happened, and I'm not quite sure where everybody hangs around now. I'm a little bit out of touch with it because everything's gone a bit potty around here. I'll be back in the home base at some point, but it used to be the 2.5 and it moved, I think, to 30. I think it was 30. But you'll find that in different places it could be different channels. 23, 21, you know, different groups of people. It's like little circles of people have their channel where they tend to hang out. And most of the time you're welcome to join in. You've only got to come along and say, break. That's another thing, by the way. If you want to join in on a conversation, you just key up. When there's a gap, you key up, break. And if someone hears a break, you'll hear someone say there's a side out there, or side in, you know, side in. You're on the side. You come in, and then you start chatting. Hello, I'm just driving through the area, and I heard you was having a quick chat, and I thought I'd say hello. My name's John, and I'm from blah, blah, blah. And then someone will come back and blah, blah, blah. Hello, John. You know, welcome aboard, that kind of thing. If you're having a conversation with some people and you feel like, oh, I've had enough of chatting for now, but I'm still going to have the radio on, having a listen, I might nip in now and again. You might think to yourself. You can just go, all right, chaps, I'm going to be on the side for a bit. I'll catch you later on. Now that means that you're just still there. The radio is on, but you've gone and sat in a different chair and you're just listening. You're not joining in the conversation. You're on the side of the conversation. Yeah? So they know that you're still about. If you hear something interesting, you might pop back. You've not turned the radio off, you're just on the side. And that goes for everywhere. Can't think of much else, really. For now, anyway. I dare say as videos progress, I'll remember things and start to add things in. But for a video based on radio etiquette and how to speak and conduct yourself, I suppose is a good way of saying it, on CB, I think I've covered everything. We've gone through the few. I'm not going to go through loads of them, but we've gone through 10.4, okay. 10.5, repeat the message or relay the message. 73s, see you later. Break, I'd like to join in, please. On the side, you're sitting on the side. Keep swearing to a minimum. Bad language, things like that, to a minimum. Say whatever you want, basically, though. On ham, it's frowned upon, and it is actually against the rules if you want to read the rules for ham. You're not allowed to talk about politics and all that kind of stuff. You're just not allowed. CB, doesn't matter. You've got to be mindful, of course, that people you're talking to might not want to talk about the stuff you want to talk about, but that's just life. You know, I could be talking to Margaret in front of me, and if she doesn't want to talk about politics, I have to respect that and not talk about politics. Same for on the CB. If you bring up something about Boris Johnson or somebody like that, and the person you're speaking to is not particularly interested in it, don't talk about it. But that's life. It's nothing to do with radio, that's just general life. I think that's about it. Can't think of anything else. No. This was a completely impromptu, spontaneous video. Didn't plan this in the slightest. Literally come out here just to have a bit of a tidy up. Thought to myself, I could do that. So, if it's opened your eyes, if it's helped you in any way, please leave a comment. And as I said, there will be better videos coming up. I've got all the mobile antennas ready and waiting to go. I need to go and find the box which has got the mag mounts in it. A box which somewhere has some VSWR meters in it. And the box with the radios in, which is quite important. Once I get them from the storage place, the videos will start to roll. I'm excited to do them. I love mobile. Love mobile CB. It's better than mobile ham. Mobile CB is the one. You know, stick it on the roof, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'll catch you lot later on. As I say, comment if I've helped you. Please comment if you think there's anything that you can add to it, because I'm not perfect. I probably missed loads of stuff out. But don't forget, we're aiming it at people that are starting in CB radio. They're beginners. Yeah, we don't want to be throwing loads of stuff at them because they'll just get confused. And it might put some people off. So we've got little bits. Think about subscribing if you're interested in the series. If you're interested in CB ham radio. But no, I don't just do that. I mend engines, cars, streamers, mowers, camper vans. I do a mixed bag on this channel. But I'm just doing a little series to help people begin in CB radio at the moment. It's just something that's for fun and it might help some people. I'll catch you later on. Love life. And let me know if you're a beginner in CB, what have you bought so far? What radio have you got? What antenna have you got? Or what are you thinking about buying? And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. All the best.